Uh, hey, Shot Boy's back, man. Bird's
Go.
fresh off of vacay, looking a little tan.
A little bit.
Love it, man. A little bit.
Little
You're
bit.
glowing a little bit.
Hey man,
Glowing.
2 weeks off. Come this past Sunday, I was like, I cannot wait for the show. Not just because we have so much to talk about,
Mhm.
but 2 weeks off when I'm not with the truth teller sitting
Yes.
technically across from me in my screen, but side by side. This is my Tuesday church right here.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, as you know, and as everybody knows, since the inception of this version of the show,
Hmm.
uh, I have to have a monopoly on the truth because that's all we can do is come on this platform
Hmm.
and tell the truth, no matter how good, bad, ugly, or indifferent it may be. And, shout out to Ty and Mike for holding it down while you were gone.
Yeah.
But I am very, very happy to see you. It just doesn't feel the same without my PIC partner in crime,
Hell yeah.
regular on Tuesdays. So
I'm
glad.
so glad to be back, and yeah, thanks again to Mike and Ty for filling in. They did awesome job.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not really happy about the bucket of doom, but I'm sure we'll go over that in a second. I
yeah.
think 2 weeks in a row I pulled the Bengals, and the
You
first time
did.
it worked out for me, and this past week, God man, it did not.
I looked at it like it's funny because during when we pulled it, I didn't think about it, and then after the show was ending, and I was trying to update, the polls and everything, I was like, wait, he had the Bengals last week, and I
Mhm.
didn't think about it during the show, which is funny, but it didn't work out for you, man. I don't know what happened to my Cincinnati Bengals. I try to keep that quiet all week and figure out a way to like kind of not let that be known. But there's a lot of people in my mentions telling me, hey, what happened to your guy Joey Burrow? I don't know.
I don't know. Hey, listen, it should be less about your Cincinnati Bengals and more about your
Yeah,
Buffalo Bills.
let's just go ahead and start the show,
We'll
huh?
find out now. Sports.
Sports, man. I almost listen. Bert came at me, man. My Buffalo Bills weren't doing too hot, and I tried to skate by it, but he's absolutely right. Sometimes you need these humbling experiences in life, Bert, and we all know this. Like
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
you got to take a L. You can't get too high in life. You can't get too high. Can't get too low. Unfortunately, you got really, really low because we lost to Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the 1-6, and now the 2-6 Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not fun. It's not a good time. Uh,
It was odd.
I
It,
odd.
I mean, to watch the Bills' explosive offense not be able to create anything off of arguably not good defense whatsoever. It was just a very weird, low-scoring game, and I don't really know what happened. But you hope next week there's a bounce back week. Yeah, and go from there. It's one of those things, man. I think what happened is they saw that your game day wear was just too fire. They were
Yeah,
like the hat, the
yeah,
sweatshirt, everything, and they got nervous and they couldn't perform.
yeah. I put in the call to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and those boys. I said, "Hey guys, time to represent. It's the
Yeah,
Jaguars. Let's go ahead and get this dub and keep it moving. Come back to New York and finish them off. And I think they just overlooked the team.
yeah.
It's one of those things you overlook the schedule.
Or you
Very
texted the wrong
disappointing.
Josh Allen, and
I did. Yeah. Jacksonville's Josh Allen said, "Oh, this guy Jerm, man, he's not
Yeah.
so bad. Let me go and show out for my guy." And he has a lot of faith in me. And apparently, I put the bad juju. I talked a lot of shit beforehand, and
Shocking. I mean, come
no,
on.
no, what?
Yeah.
Like, what was that? I am a humble king, and so sometimes I gotta. But they did me dirty, and so I guess we'll just go ahead and just start it right there, Bert. I mean, the most impressive, biggest disappointment, week 9, and I'll just get it out the way. Biggest disappointment, even though I mean, honestly, the Sunday was weird throughout. I mean, there's a lot of games you could pick for upsets. I personally don't think the Buffalo Bills one was the biggest
Mhm.
disappointment or biggest upset, but is obviously the most surprising. But yeah, my biggest disappointment is the Buffalo Bills because there's always that but when it comes to Buffalo and Josh Allen. And like they've been so good all year, and last year this is not a game you should be losing, and specifically the way you lost it. The offense, for as much firepower as it has, can't be putting up 6 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I get that they have really good defensive players, but they're not a good team. They're not a well-coached team. They have no offense. Now, the Buffalo Bills did hold them to like 218 yards for the day. They did only hold them to 9 points. The defense did their job, but our two starting running backs mustered up less than like a combined 40 yards. Can't happen. You're not going to win a championship that way. So that was my biggest disappointment. And my most impressive, probably, I'm going to go with Chicago, even though they lost the game. Justin Fields, I've been hard on him throughout, but he balled out that game. And they probably should have won that game if it wasn't for some fraudulent refereeing, which was the theme of Week 9.
Man, it was a poorly officiated game. I'm with you on that one. Impressive by the Bears, but I think if a couple of calls went their way, or maybe if they called it fair, Ben's getting the calls that Fields did not. It's just it's one of those things where you look and you're just like, what is happening here? And I think you can look at a lot of games like that, a lot of different sports like that when it comes down to reffing or officiating or anything else like that. But in a sport like football, it's one of those things where by now there are so many rules, and as clearly defined as they are, everyone should be on the same page and all the calls should be the same. I just think they got hosed, plain and simple. My biggest disappointment was the Bills this week. If you look at that matchup on paper, going into it, even after week 1 and looking, all right, we got the Jags in week 9, we're going to steamroll them. And then even come Saturday for prep, you would have thought for sure, like, the Bills are going to absolutely trounce them. And then to have, barely any offense. I mean, Josh, look, take nothing away from Jacksonville's Josh Allen and the game he had.
Yeah, for sure.
He was
monster.
In Josh Allen's face the entire time, doing his job. But man, you would have thought there's 4 quarters. I mean, at least by the half, there would certainly have been some coaching changes, some play call changes, just something to rectify. But no, unfortunately not. I don't even want to say I guess I'll say the Broncos surprised me. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
The Cowboys coming out completely, week over week looking absolutely good. And here you are, Teddy Bridgewater doing his thing, taking it to the Cowboys. Now, me as a Giant fan, you would have thought most impressive would have been the New York Giants. No, they're playing the Raiders. Was I shocked that they won? Yes. Why? Because I'm a Giant fan and I never go in there confident. But it's the fucking walking wounded out there playing essentially another team that's has just bad luck between injuries and individuals getting cut for making stupid decisions. So I mean, you're looking at the Falcon or the Giants Raiders game, and you're counting the third strings that are on the field for both teams, and it's look, I'm happy the G-Men pulled out the win. I was completely shocked by it, to be honest with you. But if I'm picking one of my most impressive, it's definitely Denver over Dallas.
Yeah, man, the whole thing was crazy. Specifically that Chicago game. Tony Corrente, you need to never have a job again. You hip checked. I watched a lot of sports radio. People are talking about the taunting. Let me clear something up for you idiots out there who are. Marsh is his last name. I can't remember his first name, maybe Greg or something like that, but whatever. Marsh, the player, he was on the practice squad 3 days ago. He's excited. They didn't throw the flag. And I'm not the taunting penalties, whatever. Like, call him if you're going to call him. He didn't get the flag when he did his little roundhouse kick celebration. There was no flag thrown. They didn't throw the flag when he started walking towards the Steeler bench and jawing at them, which we could have watched all the games this weekend and we would have saw that 9 times. No flags were thrown then, but no flag was thrown in this instance. It was only on his way back to his bench after his 3rd celebration or whatever it was, where the referee, Tony Corrente, seems to hip check him, a clear hip check. Then he throws the flag. Yeah. It wasn't any of the other celebrations. And all day, all I heard was, oh, you can't jaw at the other sideline. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, apparently you can, because he got away with it. And it wasn't until the referee interjected himself after the player was walking back to his own sideline where the flag was thrown. It was egregious. It was gross. And it probably cost the Chicago Bears the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, officials are humans too. So undoubtedly, I'm sure he got annoyed or just, the whole thing frustrated the official. But at the same point, if you go back and watch that video, it was at least a half, if not a full step, and pivoting your hips back So there's incidental contact completely, and it's stupid. It's immature. You're a professional. You get paid handsomely to officiate these games, and it's not cool. You're taking a guy who's on the field professionally for, I don't want to say the first time, but obviously doesn't see a lot of time. And, look, if you're bothered by it, you have to kind of be the bigger person and walk away and just call what you see. It is what it is. Like we have these athletes, these machines out there that are so hopped up on whatever PED or extra testosterone or anything else is in there. And they're playing a game that is just so barbaric to nature's sense that they're going to be completely riled up, and they're going to be talking shit, and they're going to be jawing, and they're going to be excited, and the blood is rushing through them completely. So, I mean, as an official, you kind of just take a step back and be like, hey, listen, it is what it is. But that was just terrible. I mean, you go back and watch. Honestly, something should happen with the NFL in disciplining that official, plain and simple.
Yeah, he needs to be disciplined. And I know the referees get graded every week. Whatever, it is what it is. But
I want an official ranking that. Like, I want just as much as like, oh, this person got a DUI, he's suspended for a game. I want just as much of this on-field incident from an official and something to come out from Roger Goodell saying, hey, listen, we're looking into it, but he's not going to be officiating next week. He's suspended without pay or some shit like that. I know it's never going to happen, and I know the majority of people out there do not care. But I bet you Bears fans would 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. Listen, we're gonna have to get to it, man. I'm gonna preface this by saying that we have been longtime, big-time supporters of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah,
and that's why. Listen, Aaron, if you're listening to AA Ron, this is going to hurt us a lot more than it hurts you. There's no need to go to the backstory. We all know what the story is. Bert, what I want to know is your reaction. Like, what did you, as things were unfolding, with everything that Aaron Rodgers had said and done from the time the news came out to the Pat McAfee show to today, like what's to make of this Rodgers situation?
Childish, to sum it up in one word, to be completely honest with you. So when the news first broke, and I'm out on my vacation, and I'm looking through texts and tweets, and we have our show thread, and it's like, all right, well, it came out that he has COVID. No big deal. People who are vaccinated, they get COVID. It happens right now. And then it started coming out like, we don't think he's vaccinated. And we're like, oh, well, that's news. And not that it should be, right? I mean, it's his status. It is what it is. But the reason it is news is because he was breaking protocol, and he was doing and saying things that led people to believe that he was. Now, we've gone over this topic time and time again. I don't think it's fair that any team would enforce a mandate. I don't think it's fair that any company or anybody else should enforce a mandate on vaccinations. This whole your body, your choice. I get it. Is it the responsible thing to do? It is, not just for yourself, but for other individuals. But if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Like, I'm not going to force someone to do something they don't want to do, or agree with a company or team doing that. What I will say is he took a childish and coward's way out by getting cute with his wording, by saying he's been immunized, I don't know, whatever the fuck.
Immunized,
thank
immunized,
you. And he got cute with the wording. He said it. It was misleading. Was he lying? Not really. But he was also not necessarily consulting. I guess he said he was consulting a doctor. I find that hard to believe, because I find it hard to believe that a doctor would say, hey, yeah, you should take this horse dewormer, and you'll be good, and you'll have chances of fighting it, and whatever the science he thought was behind it. But it wasn't in a sense of he had got the vaccination, which is what he was leading people to believe. Now, if he had come out and said, hey, you're right, I use this wording because I was taking the appropriate steps to build up natural immunity. Obviously that didn't work. I apologize to my teammates and, the organization. It is what it is, and went from there. Instead, he basically didn't say anything through the team, then went on the Pat McAfee show and started sounding off about his reasoning, which didn't make sense at all. And then even quoted, speaking with Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan, by the way, not a licensed doctor.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure plenty of Joe Rogan fanboys out there are like, yeah, but he's really smart. Like, no, I get it. But Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have said, hey, yeah, I'm consulting with Joe Rogan on the appropriate steps on how to, you know, better support myself in this whole, you know, immunization process naturally. And then goes out there and starts quoting MLK and comparing his plight to what he went through, which was completely dumb. It's also stupid and childish. He's backing himself into a corner. Here's what happened, Aaron. You got caught doing something dumb. And you're now taking the way out thinking that you did nothing wrong and it shouldn't have been like that. And it's my choice. And you say you don't care about he came out and said, I know the left is going to vilify me and the right's going to support me. I don't give a shit about both of them. That I agree with. I think it's a very smart take because it shouldn't make it political. But the reason he took this approach is because he didn't want to be outed. He didn't want all of that clout around that Cole Beasley got and other guys got when they said they weren't going to get it. So you inferred that you were vaccinated, so you didn't have to deal with this. And the reason I think that's cowardly is because you have guys like Cole Beasley came out, they said his reasoning didn't necessarily make sense to the public, but it was out there. And Aaron just let this dude drown out there, his fellow colleagues, if you will, on other teams. He wasn't going to take that heat himself. He was gonna do this, and now, you know, look, he got the vid. And he looks like a moron. It's straight up. And he's not stopping either. He's continuing to just spew his moronic filth and go from there. It's just not cool.
Steve Zuccari, what's up, man? Let's go. Let's do it. We're gonna get to Steve's trifecta. He took a rough week this week, but we'll get to that. And we got another little wrinkle to help make some of his money back. Buddy Brooks, go Jags. Ha, 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 ha. Very funny. Very, very funny, Mr. Brooks. Thank you. Bert, you hit it on the head. Listen, if you want to, and I'm glad you brought up Cole Beasley. Mm-hmm. If you want to do the Cole Beasley thing, Carson Wentz is another one. Straight up come out and say, hey, I don't trust it. I don't want to be vaxxed.
Yeah.
Cool. Do that. But then what you do is, because I respect that more. We've talked, and Bert, you know how I feel. I respect KKK members way more than I respect the closet racists that try to hide their racism through patriotism or something else when it's clearly racism. At least you're upfront with it. At least you're upfront with your racism. I can respect that more than some dude that's trying to fake his way through it with me and try to bullshit me. I respect Cole Beasley and Carson Wentz for saying, and Kirk Cousins is another one. Hey, guys, I don't want the vax. I'm not doing it. But you know what else they do? Anytime they have their helmet off, they have a mask on.
Yeah.
When they're doing press conferences, they're following the protocols. Do that. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to do that. He wants to have his cake and he also wants to eat it. And Aaron Rodgers always has this hint of arrogance to him, this holier than thou, this how dare you question me, I'm Aaron Rodgers. And that's why he goes on the Joe Rogan podcast, and that's why he goes on the Pat McAfee show and the Dan Le Batard show. All his friends, and that's why he doesn't talk to ESPN and CBS Sports. He wants to go into his safe space where he can spout his nonsense, and it's dangerous. I mean, it's just dangerous rhetoric. He said, you know what? I'm not going to listen to all the scientists out there. I think me and Joe Rogan got this COVID thing figured out. That's what he did. And it's a joke, bro. Immunized by what? What are you immunized by? The flower and the Black Panther? The one that Killmonger burned up? What? I mean, explain to me exactly what you're immunized by.
Yeah.
You know, he's only following the protocols that Joe Rogan and his goon jerk-off squad on that podcast set forth. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
The PR, he definitely is getting his PR from Alec Baldwin. That's the only explanation I have why he keeps going out and doing these things. And Steve Zuccari says Pats are going to win that division, so Cole Beasley needs to wear enough of you. All right.
Yeah.
That's not, all right, relax.
Funny.
It was one game. Relax. But, you know, just if you don't want the vax, Aaron, just say you don't want it. But also you have to follow the protocols, and more importantly, don't lie. But, you know, it was a disaster. Him going on the Pat McAfee show is the only word I could describe. It was a disaster. He always has this smartest dude in the room mentality, and you can't question him. You can't do anything. You know, he's taken some cocktail made up by some of his doctor friends out in Hawaii with the Divergent girl, what's her name? Cheyenne Woodley. Like they're out there eating pedals and playing the ukulele, and who knows what he's
so
doing
hot,
out there.
I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not saying I
yeah.
wouldn't take a vaccine to be with her, but look,
I feel you.
yeah, it was a disaster, and it's like, hey, listen, open mouth, insert foot, like just stop talking completely.
Yeah,
And he was breaking protocol, and that continued to keep up this facade of I am vaccinated because he was in front and post game press conferences without a mask. But he said, but behind the scenes, when no one was watching, I was wearing a mask in the facility and I was doing this. But it's like, no, you helped uphold this lie by not wearing a mask and going through this. And this dude has the fucking gall to come out and say that I only don't wear my mask around unvaccinated individuals, so they must have given me COVID. Like, it doesn't matter where you got it from. It could have came from the 300-pound defensive end that's coming towards you, sweating and like spitting and shit in your direction. But like, the biggest thing for me now that I'm past the point of how dumb can you be, and I am pissed at him for being so scared of this media mob at first and the repercussions of what was going to happen to him with the fan base and the media. If he had just said he doesn't plan on getting the vaccine at the beginning of the season, like what happened with Cole Beasley, I'm really pissed at him in the fact that he took the easy way out by trying to mislead people when his other colleagues like Cole and Kirk Cousins and everybody else was like, they took the brunt of it. And I honestly think that if someone like Aaron Rodgers came out and stuck to his gun and said, hey, I'm not getting it, I don't trust it. Plus, my doctor has some concerns with some things I'm allergic with that could be in the MNRA one or whatever. His reasoning was that he shared with Pat McAfee too. I think it would have eased up on some of the other guys that don't have that stardom. So I do think it was very selfish of him. But in his mind, it's just like, dude, how could you had to have thought somewhere in your head, hey, what if I do get COVID? Like, and all this comes out, what's going to happen? And taking it a step further, his team should have thought of that and have been ready for statements. And to take it even one step further, the Green Bay Packers organization undoubtedly knew his vaccination status or lack thereof.
Big fact. Hey, Bert, kill him. Go ahead.
As a result, you put him in front of reporters without a mask. And I don't want to hear this excuse of like, we always suggested it, but he declined it. It's like, he is your star player. You are the organization. You have to set it. Fine him if he doesn't do it. Fine him under the table. Don't have to tell people you're fining him. Just fine him.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
And until he gets the picture. And they should be held accountable just as much as Aaron is, because they are just as guilty as keeping up this facade in itself. Now, we know the NFL can't do anything. They might be able to fine him because he broke protocol, but we know he's not going to be suspended. And in the grand scheme of things, is this a big deal? No, it's not. It's not a big deal at all. He has COVID. He's sitting out. He lied to people. That's what happens. The NFL and players, I mean, everybody lies. Everybody lies all the time. It's not that big of a deal. I think it's heightened because so many individuals got skewered before him, and he misled the public. And he is Aaron Rodgers. It is what it is. You don't carry this huge crown of stardom without paying the price for it. So it's not necessarily life or death in the NFL, but it is a shitty situation. And me personally, like I really high on Aaron Rodgers as an athlete. From a character standpoint, this brings him down a peg or two because, like you said, he's got this holier than thou ego about him, which I always knew he had. I always knew he had this cockiness to him. I always thought like this was like this Joe Cool kind of like, yeah, he's the gunslinger, man. Like he can do this shit. But when he does stupid stuff like that and then continues to think he's the smartest man in the room, spewing this bullshit on different radio shows, you just look at him like, you're not. You've been, a great athlete who's been catered to his entire career. Not that you didn't put the work into, but it's certainly showing that your ego is so fucking big it needs to be knocked down a peg or two.
But Brooks says he took short-term, easy way out. Yep. Mm-hmm. Lost a ton of credibility along the way. Yep. And how can a liar like that lead a locker room? Yeah. And that was in my notes that I didn't get to, and I'm glad you said that. If the Packers really wanted to, because a lot of people do believe this is his last year, this could have been an easy way for them to trade him. Just get rid of him once and for all without the fans, because that was really the big thing, right? The fans would have just revolted against that team. And I don't know how you can. And like you said earlier, Bert, and this kind of goes with what Buddy is saying. the team had to have known.
Oh yeah.
So how is the locker room accepting that? Because he kind of put them in a bad spot. And they lost the game to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs aren't any good right now, but you lose a game. It's like, come on, man. Steve says it was a double down that really, it was the double down that ruined it. I think it would have smoothed over by next week. He can have his own opinions, but you got to follow. Yeah, exactly. Listen, you don't have to like the rules. I don't like the rules. I openly revolt against the rules every week on this show. But until I can be rich enough to change them or make my own thing, I have to follow them. And I'll just sit there and talk shit about the rules all the time. But I ain't gonna follow them. Green Bay ain't gonna fight it with the QB. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you watched the Jordan Love experience. I mean, I don't know if
experience. It's an experiment.
Experiment. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had to have sighed a big sigh of relief watching that game. Like, okay, they're not going to get rid of me. Because if Jordan Love would have came out and played well, I would have loved to see what would have happened. Because that would have been absolutely hilarious. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, get your shit together, man. This shit is whack.
Come on, man, knock it off. Yeah. Stop spewing this bullshit. Don't listen. And this is a good general rule for everybody. Don't ever fucking compare your struggles to Martin Luther King. Like, you've got to be fucking kidding. Over a shot in your arm, you're gonna sit there and say. And I get he was talking about like the rules and challenging if he certainly doesn't believe in it, but you've got to be fucking kidding. You got to be like, yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny with him putting himself in the same breath as Martin Luther King? Where was that energy for Colin Kaepernick? You want to sit there, you know what I mean? Where were you sat quiet on that situation? You weren't ever openly, publicly on this stand when it was private, right? You only did it once you got caught lying.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's not MLK like to me. That's a joke. Corey just had to
refi his house after that live game. He's talking about the love bet. Yeah.
Oh, listen, hey, Corey. I wasn't going to disclose this until after, but your money went to a really good cause. There was a house fire that we had responded to, and apparently that family goes to the same school. The one of their kids goes to the same school EJ does, and they are taking up a collection. Now Red Cross is helping them out, but I did donate that money in form of a gift card. I was going to buy myself some new sneakers, or I was going to buy myself a new hat and just show it off to Corey and laugh at him. But I that money did go to a good cause. So Corey, if that makes you feel better, but never ever, Corey. I took your money. I don't know about Bert's your brother, and he's obligated to love you and not take your money. And I'm sure he gave you a stern talking to. But I took your money to never make that bet again. Jordan Love will never score 4 touchdowns at 300 yards. You're out of your mind.
I told him. So I mean, to fill the listeners in case you're not aware, Corey, they undoubtedly they're not aware because I think this bet came through Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
So Corey from The Divide had texted our show text and said Jordan Love is going to pass for over 300 with 4 touchdowns. I couldn't even say it with a straight face on Sunday, and basically that Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay. They're going to run him out of town. They're going to see this elite talent in Jordan Love, and immediately we were all wondering. This was like 10 o'clock, and he was off Thursday, Friday. So I immediately was like, all right, he's either on a 24-hour bender or he started drinking early. What's going to happen? So we were basically like, no way. Long story short, he bet us. I said, I'll bet you $100 that there's no way he throws for 300 or scores 4 touchdowns, whether he throws them or runs them in. Jerome took the bet with me as well. He happily took it and said, you guys are crazy. Long story short, I think come halftime on Sunday, we were just like, yo, are you ready? Like, here's our Venmos. Like, let's go.
Yeah. I said promptly when the clock said 0, I want my money.
Look, he's a man of his word. He's a man of integrity. He ddid pay us. I even told him yesterday, after he Venmoed me, I was like, you should have kept your money, man. Like, I'm your brother. Like, the bragging rights are good enough for me. But he's like, no. Because I'm a man of my word. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
I don't know. I was taking that money because he would have he would have taken it from me, and I was fully prepared to send it. But no. We're all brothers, and it's tough love around here on my end. So
yeah, well, he's never gonna be doing that again. I can guarantee that.
Good for him. Then lesson learned, and we did our job. Speaking of things that should never happen again, teams should stop trading for Russell Westbrook and thinking that he's the guy.
Could be.
Russell Westbrook has never been the guy on any team he's been on. But these teams keep trading for his ridiculous contract. Russell Westbrook is the definition of an empty statistic, Bert. And if you look at the box score, even in the losses, he does come across impressive. I think he is one of the greatest athletes to ever play basketball. But I don't think he's one of the greatest basketball players to ever live, if that makes sense. Like, he's just an athlete who's good at basketball or can play basketball at the NBA level. But he doesn't. It's low. It's high floor, low ceiling with him. Like, you get great statistics, you get high scoring games, but it doesn't translate to winning. The Lakers bring him in after a disastrous start in disastrous career in Washington when they tried to team him up with Bradley Beal. It doesn't go anywhere. The team is all of a sudden way better when he's not on it. Oklahoma City's a different situation because they got rid of all their assets. They kind of had to start over, but and they'll get there. But he spent a lot of time there. He's in LA now. The team is LeBron's not there. The team's not gelling. We talked about this when the whole we called them the LAARP Lakers. You can't just it's not really about their age because they're hanging, but you can't just stick a bunch of talented players together and expect it to work. It rarely works in basketball, never works in football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are an outlier.
I mean, we said that about the Nets last year at the trade deadline when they had Blake Griffin too, and they were getting ready for playoffs, and you even said it, like, you can't just stick players together and expect magical things, and you were 100% right. And the same holds true for everybody now trying, like, basically following LeBron like sick puppies, just chasing their chance to get a ring. I was trying to get some of the advanced stats when it comes to plus minus, and what that means is how valuable a player is with a certain lineup on the floor. Like, how much does he actually impact the team negatively or positively? I didn't have enough time to look it up, but all you need to know is watching him play, he has to dominate everything on the court. He can't play with other superstars, because he has to dictate the flow offensively and defensively. He needs I think here's the thing, if the Lakers somehow traded LeBron James and left it to Russell Westbrook, I think they would be good. I think they would be okay. You get rid of Carmelo, you get rid of LeBron, and you get a couple extra just shooters who don't need the ball in their hands, who can play off ball. I think him and Anthony Davis would make a pretty good duo. And I think if you had a certain roster around them, which is not how the Lakers have, I think it would work. I really do. Because that's when they play their best. When DeAndre Jordan, who's a traditional big, plays with Russell Westbrook, that's when they have their best spurts. I don't see it happening. And there's plenty of time. Obviously, the season's young, and LeBron James is LeBron James. But what happens when he comes back? Because Russell Westbrook can't play off the ball. He can't set up other people to succeed. He has to dominate. And I don't know how it's going to work. Like you said, Brooklyn, it's not working. James Harden, it looks like the Space Jam monsters took all his powers away. And I don't know. I feel the worst. Kevin Durant, you never should have left Golden State. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But I think the Lakers should absolutely entertain trading for Russell Westbrook, because they have like two young guys on their team. They need to fill out their bench with capable people. And they need people who can play off ball. They have too many ball dominant players. And it's just not. I don't care about how early the season is or how much time is left. It's not going to work, because it's never worked. I have history on my side, and he can't do it with other star players, superstar players around him. He has to have. He's like Allen Iverson. He has to have role players around him, and then just hope for the best. I was going to ask, because I know it is early in the season, but I guess, the writing's on the wall when it comes down to a team like that, and his worth, and to see if they can get anything for him. So, yeah, I'll go with your lead on this. The NBA way better than I do. But, yeah. Look, if a trade is necessary, let's go. Do it. And put him in a better position to be with a winning team.
Yeah, there's holes they need to fill, and I think Westbrook, the problem is his contract is massive, and I don't know. They gave up a lot to get him. They're probably not going to trade him. You probably can't trade him, and that's the fact. All right, Bert. NHL, NBA, a couple weeks in. Let's give our top 5, bottom 3 teams. I will let you go first with the NHL.
All right, let's go. NHL is heating up. We have teams playing up to like 13, 14 games right now. Sad to say, the Kraken didn't make my list, but if they would, they would have been towards the bottom three. And I know, Jerm, you're a crackhead. So is Mike. So, but I will say the Golden Knights started out the same way in their inaugural season 2, and just they didn't hit their stride until about December. And there's a lot of hockey left too in itself.
Yeah.
But top 5, let's go. Number 5, I'm going with the Wild. Right now, they're leading the Central Division with 8 wins. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now and absolutely tearing it up. Number 4, your Carolina Hurricanes too. Got to give props to those around you. So the Hurricanes are a very strong defensive team. So they have 9 wins, but what's most impressive right now is they have the least goals against in all the teams in the NHL, holding it to 20, which is very impressive right now. Number 3, the Florida Panthers. Now, a lot of individuals thought I would have put them at number 2 or number 1. Here's why they're number 3. They are leading the Atlantic Division with 10 wins. And they only have 1 loss in regulation. Incredibly impressive feat all around. Wow. They have 1 overtime loss. But the 1 loss in regulation came last night, and it came from the number 2 team, my New York Rangers. Yes, this may be a completely homer call, but I don't care because the blue shirts are back.
They're back.
They're back. They're back. New coach this year. They're putting biscuits in the basket. Pucks are in the net. They had a terrible weekend. They had a weekend trip to Western Canada between Calgary and the Oilers. And they got routed by both, despite leading 4-1 against Edmonton on Friday. Ended up losing that in overtime in itself. But 9 wins on the season so far, 13 games, 37 goals for. I honestly think their biggest issue last year was that they weren't scoring enough goals. They look good. Their power play is still shaky, but nevertheless, they are. Like I said, they are scoring goals, and they're fighting until the end, which is what I like. So that's why they're number 2 in my power rankings. Number 1, I had to give props to the Oilers. They're insane. Yeah. Connor McDavid is just such a gifted goal scorer in itself. They have 45 goals for, which is leading. I don't think it's leading the NHL. I think it's just too shy. I think there's a team out there with 49 goals for, but a worse record. But they do have 9 wins. But man, they are just an impressive offensive team all around. Bottom 3, Canadians and Blackhawks, number 1 and 2, both not looking good right now. The Blackhawks, particularly just from what they were. Let's say 5 years ago, and Stanley Cup contenders, in multiple Stanley Cups in multiple years, they just look like a completely different team. And recently they had that whole scandal of sexual abuse that rocked the hockey world as well. Undoubtedly, that's probably taking a huge mental toll on a lot of the players because they still have long tenured players that have been there for a while. The Canadians with the 1 spot, not doing well. Carey Price, all my love goes out to him. Canadians goaltender stepped away from hockey for a little bit, has some demons to battle, checked himself into a rehabilitation facility for what's best for him and his family. So, it's okay not to be okay. And Carey recognized that and is getting the help he needs. So shout out to him for doing that. But the bottom of the barrel, the Coyotes, 1 win through 12 games so far, the lowest in the NHL. The team is moving after this year because they didn't re-up their contract in Phoenix for that facility. It's just, I think it's going to be one of those seasons where they're calling it quits early. I don't think they're going to see a rally for, hey, let's make this a championship season the last year that we're in Phoenix in itself.
Man, yeah, the Connor McDavid, the Oilers, I mean, that guy's amazing. I believe he's not even leading that team in goals, which is, no,
he's not.
That's crazy.
But he's got such good hands, man. And as much as I hated the comeback against the Rangers, that goal he scored going through 4 of our guys was just, as a hockey fan, you just watch that and you're just like, first you ask how, and then you just sit back and admire it over and over again.
Fantastic. All right, so top 5, bottom 3. My number 5 team is the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not buying these offensive woes they're having. James Harden's just out of shape. He'll get it together. Kyrie Irving is probably not going to be there, which is probably better for the team. It wasn't working last year with all 3 of them. I get they only played like 7 games together and they had like a couple of impressive wins, but the issue with that team is that they were too top 3 reliant, and I don't think it works with 3 players of that caliber. I just don't think it's going to work. Number 4, I have the Jazz. Number 3, I have the Sixers. Without Ben Simmons, this team has the number 1 offense in the NBA now. It's fantastic, and it's exactly what I was dreaming. But Daryl Morey probably needs to be fired. He is holding Ben Simmons hostage by holding him over this team's head. We don't need another superstar. His asking price is too high. Trade him. Shame on Ben Simmons for faking mental health issues to keep his game checks. He's not doing anything that the team's asking him to do. You have no mental health issues other than your vagina hurts. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And Daryl Morey willingly admitted on radio that he is willing to wait this out the entire 4 years of Ben Simmons' contract, which is actively saying he's willing to waste 4 years of Joel Embiid's prime. Mm-hmm. Just get what you can get and move the hell on. This team is way better without Ben Simmons. Our defensive ratings have dipped down, but not by much. We're only 2 spots behind where we were last year. The team defense is amazing. And again, we have the number 1 offense in the league. And Joel Embiid hasn't even been playing his best. And we still are the number 1 team in the East. So shout out to the Sixers. They're the number 3 team. COVID's kicking our ass, though. But, it is what it is. The Heat, number 2. I believe in that team. I'm not a fan of what Markieff Morris did. And if he's not careful, the Jokic brothers are going to kill all of you. There's one thing I'm scared of more than my grandmother and a switch in her hand is 3 really big European white guys who created Twitter solely to threaten you and your family. Probably not the type of people you need to be fucking with. And number 1, the Warriors, even without knowing Klay Thompson, which he'll probably be back in another month or 2. He looks really good. That team is playing excellent basketball, and Klay Thompson's going to just put them over the top. And hopefully they get James Wiseman back, their number 1 pick from 2 years ago. They're contenders. I didn't think that the Warriors were going to be this good. Steph Curry's amazing. So that's my number 1 team in the league right now. Bottom 3: Pistons, Thunder, and Pelicans. That they're just bad. And the Thunder, they have a lot of heart. They play a lot of close games. They actually hold the 2 biggest comebacks of the season, both against the LA Lakers, where they were down by 30 points, 20 points and 30 points at half in both of those games and came back to win those games. And I believe those are like their only 2 of their 3 victories this season. So shout out to the Thunder. They're just young. They have no body. They're rebuilding. So that is that. All right, Bert, never too early to talk about baseball. Offseason teams need lists. So basically, I want to know for your Yankees, what are you looking for out of this offseason the most? It could be 1 or 2, couple things, but what is your wish list for this team going into next season?
Look, if we're talking positions, I got to be honest with you. I like the core that we have, but you have guys like Trevor Story out there, or Carlos Correa, and these solid infield guys and notable shortstops. I mean, it could be a really good opportunity for us to go and sign someone reliable for that key position in itself. Not that Glaber's doing a bad job, because he's not, but he's also versatile, so we can always move him and plug and play wherever need be. Would love to re-sign Rizzo and Gallo. I think there are 2 really big bats that came in and played great positioning for us too. But honestly, apart from that, I think what I would love is for our players to have a healthy season through and through, and maybe get rid of Gary Sanchez, because I hate him still. When it's all said and done, I think every year I always look for what you need in every solid baseball team, and that's really good pitching. And yes, the offense needs to be there. You need to have individuals that are able to smack the ball out of the park or play small ball and, know when to hit it, where to hit it, excuse me, and just to move guys along the bases. With the Yankees, they would consistently go out and try to find really good pitching. And obviously we saw that with signing Cole to a monster contract, but then Kluber coming in too. But when it came down to it, our pitching was not the best this year. So would absolutely love to see some really more sound starters, but wouldn't hate a shortstop signing as well. Mike in the comments talking about Rojas is about to be the Yankees' third base coach. For those that don't know, Rojas is the Mets coach formerly, no longer with them. But yeah, I read that today too, Mike, that he's about to, I think Mike, you sent it or someone sent it, but he's about to be the Yankees' third base coach, which I think is fine. And for those that aren't aware, the Yanks basically cleared house with everybody except for Aaron Boone. So they're rebuilding all of their coaching staff.
Yeah. Shout out to Louis Rojas, kind of a scapegoat, but I think he was in over his head. And
yeah,
I mean, and it's kind of with the fans, it was a year 1 turnaround. the fans got ahead of themselves. Our early schedule was soft as hell, and we racked up a bunch of wins, and we changed our expectations, and we went from, okay, let's see what Uncle Stevie can do, to we're going to win the World Series without really looking at who we played. And just because you rack up a bunch of wins, if they're not quality wins, it's not going to matter when you start playing better teams. And that's kind of what happened, and we got our hopes up, and then we got quickly put down back to earth. For my Mets front office hires, I mean, Jesus. We need to hire a president of baseball operations. Tired of Sandy Alderson. We need a GM. We need a good manager. We don't need a brand new manager. We don't need somebody who's coaching for the first time. We need somebody, we needed Theo Epstein, but he didn't want it because Sandy's there, and Sandy only wants to do half the job. It doesn't work that way. It's a piece of shit guy that's holding us hostage. Uncle Stevie, fucking piece of shit. Sits there, tells us he's going to change a bunch of shit, and he's not doing anything. In terms of player needs, like you said, starting pitching depth. I mean, not having Thor, not having DeGrom for the remainder of the season, even though he was having an amazing season, just really exposing our starting pitching, and probably need another outfielder. I know Conforto's not taking our qualifying offer. So we're going to need another outfielder, and we need another right-handed bat. And I think the most important thing we need to do is re-sign Javier Baez. I love the guy. I mean, he was the only player who gave a damn when we were kind of falling apart there. The whole thumbs down thing, I loved it. A lot of fans didn't love it because they're soft. They're just soft and mentally
they're just
fragile.
soft, old, purist baseball fans.
Fans that don't want to have fun. Can't take themselves too seriously, act like they matter, and they don't. None of you matter. You guys are all fucking useless. And so, that for me, that would be the crux of it. Front office, manager, pitching depth, outfielder, and then a bat would be like the last thing. But I think having the right manager and the right GM is the top two priorities, and then Javier Baez in terms of player is the top priority for me. So moving on. Hold on, before we get there, I did pull up some comments. The Pirates want a new owner. Chaos Cast wants a new owner. Red Sox want some pitching. Yeah, the Pirates, I don't know. The Pirates just need somebody said the Phillies want to get rid of Bryce Harper's contract. I mean, are you serious?
One of the best individual seasons per, I think, in franchise history for a player. So I mean, unless you think his contract is probably heavy, but
yeah,
that's what you pay for,
Yeah, I get it, man. People want immediate success when the price tag is that high, and they want it right now, and it's just not going to happen.
He didn't have success in Washington. I mean, what do you like? Yes, personally, he had success, but I mean, if you're looking for one guy to change your team, it ain't happening. That's not the sport anymore.
All right, Steve's trifecta. He took a bad loss this week. He was 1-2. It was a wild, wacky, wonky Sunday. Everybody lost in the bucket of doom except Mike, and that's only because me and him went head to head. And I'm sure if he picked an opposite team other than the Packers or the Chiefs, then he probably would have lost too. But we all lost anyway. But this week he is taking the Pats -1.5 versus the Browns. I don't know about that's a lot of faith in Mac Jones.
Yeah,
the Browns are rolling. The OBJ leaving that team is the greatest thing to ever happen. They're about to win the Super Bowl. He's taking the Titans -3 against the Saints. I like that, man. The Titans are putting together a really good resume, even without Derrick Henry. People had him dead in the water, and they're not. So shout out to the Titans, and he's taking the Dolphins, getting 7.5 points to the Ravens. That's a dangerous game, buddy. I don't see it. I predict he's going to go 2-1 because I think the Ravens are going to trounce the Dolphins. But hey, anything can happen. He is 11-4 on the season, so his track record is really, really good. So shout out to Steve. Now, what he wanted to do, he wanted me to pull a helmet from the bucket this week because he wanted to make his money back. He felt bad for the fans. So what he's going to do is I'm going to pull a helmet from the bucket of doom. Whatever helmet I pull from here, he's going to put $50 down. Or no, he said $100 down on that team to win straight up. So here we go. Steve, your team is the New York Giants. And Steve is a Giants fan.
Well,
which is hilarious.
They're on a bye this week, so that's probably not going to work.
Oh, that's not going to work. So guess what? You're not putting $100 on Steelers. That's the team you're betting. All right. So Steve, you were picking the Steelers. I'm going to write that down. If you're watching, go ahead and just place your bet. I don't know who they're playing. I guess we'll find out here pretty soon because we're about to pull from the bucket. This god-awful bucket.
Steelers have the Lions, so I think that's a safe. Well, you never know.
Safe bet. I'm sure he'll take the points there. Yeah, runabout. You have the Steelers versus the Lions. Looks like you're going to go ahead and win that one. Recap of the bucket of doom this week. Bert, like I said, it was an awful experience for everybody, except Mike. He came out on top somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Bengals, tough loss. Corey had the Colts. I had the Packers with Jordan Love. Even though I lost that game, I won because I took Corey's money. Mike had the Chiefs. We went head to head, and Ty had the Bills, which he probably thought was in the bag. I mean, that's the closest thing you could have got to a bye week, and you kind of messed that up. So Ty, Bert, and myself.
Well, Corey had the Colts.
Yeah.
Then he won last week.
The Colts won.
Yeah, 45-30. They beat the Jets.
Oh, I thought they lost. So I got to switch Corey's. Oh, no, they did win. I'm sorry. The Colts did win. I'm sorry. I have it written here wrong. So Corey is 6-3 on the season. Comfortable. I don't understand how this happens. Me, Bert, and Ty are 4-5.
It's anybody's to lose at this point.
Yeah. And then Mike now is 4-5. So Mike just crept back in. He started 0-5 on the season. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to understand that. Mike is undefeated since week 5. Mm-hmm. He hasn't lost a game. So I don't understand what all the number 4. Mike is back with 4 wins. So yeah, bucket of doom. Crazy. All right, let's go. We'll pick for the guys who aren't here.
You put those helmets back in there from Steve's thing, right?
Yeah. He had the Steelers. Right? I'm like looking in the bucket, but I did put it back. It's not on my table. All right, so we'll put in the guys who aren't here. Mike is watching, so I'm sure he'll put it in a text for us. Mm-hmm. Mike said he sold his soul. It's okay. So Mike, I'll pick for you first, buddy, since you're the only winner. You have the Minnesota Vikings. You let us know if you want that or you want to give it back.
They have the Chargers at 4 on Sunday.
Got it. Pick for Corey. Corey has the Jets, which I'm sure
Jets have the Bills.
Mike White coming back. Let's see. Ty has the Giants, who are on a bye, and I'm guessing he wants to keep
with the
that.
Dub, yeah.
Mike, you want us to throw it back for you? All right. Hold on. Let me make sure he's not telling Corey or whoever. The Vikings. Who the Vikings have? I'm sorry.
The Vikings have the Chargers.
The Chargers. Okay, yeah, he wants to throw that back. So, Mike has the Buccaneers. What an upgrade. What an upgrade. This guy's out of control.
Yeah, I think the Bucs have the football team.
Oh, yeah, so that's like a bye. Great. All right, so Bert, it's on you, buddy.
I'll take the Bengals this week.
The Bills. Uh-oh.
All right, let's go. I'm keeping that.
Yeah, keeping that. Nice. Good for you, man. Might go head-to-head with Corey if he decides. I have a feeling he's going to throw it back if he answers us before the end of the show. And I am pulling. Oh, sounds are stuck. The Colts.
They got the Jags.
I'm terrified of the Jags now for some reason. I am. I really am. I don't know what to do. I mean, I would be hesitant, and it would be just like the Jags to just start winning games now at the expense of my Bills. But there's so much more awful stuff in this bucket. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to throw it back. I'm throwing it back. I'm hoping for a 5 week. I'm going to play the odds here. All right, here we go. The Panthers. God damn it. Oh, my God, man. Who do the Panthers have?
They have the Cards. The Cardinals look nasty.
Nasty. I should have kept it. Oh, what am I? Corey says throw it back. Oh, Lord.
Did he?
I don't see it in the group chat. Mike
It's
is just
not.
trying to look. Mike is trying to look out for Corey.
He's
Corey
trying to
better
look out for
answer.
Corey. Yeah, Corey better
No,
answer.
no. I'm not throwing his back unless he says it, man.
He has until we sign off, and then
Yeah. Because that's crazy. I can't believe I pulled the Panthers. And I believe that Sam Darnold is not starting because he's injured. He fractured his shoulder. So it looks like it's the PJ Washington or PJ. No, he's a basketball player. PJ Walker show of XFL fame, XFL Hall of Famer, XFL legend PJ Walker from the Houston Roughnecks. Oh my God, man! And they're playing the Cards. Oh, please, why? And I can't even get happy about because they didn't have AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, or Kyler Murray, and I'm pretty sure they're going to play this week. So it looks like I'm heading to.
you're headed towards Onionville, USA, bro.
God, man, this is awful. What an awful bucket pull. I can't believe I did that. I should have just kept what I had. Anyway,
You're traumatized from last week. You know the Jags. You're like, oh no.
Yeah,
PTSD.
I've tasted their PTSD. I've tasted their power, and it's like, oh my God, I'm terrified of them.
You felt as used as that girl in the bar with Urban Meyer.
Who gets your game ball this week?
So I referenced him in my NHL rankings. My game ball actually goes to Carey Price, and I think it's very important that more pro athletes recognize their mental state and get the help they need. And he did exactly that. And he came out with a statement saying, "Hey, I went to a dark place, basically utilized substance abuse to get through it. But if more pro athletes come out and are all for getting mental help when they need it or getting that type of rehabilitation when they need it, I think it'll be more part of the norm and less stigma around it. So that's why my game ball will go to him. And then once again, shout out, much love to him. And I hope he does get the help and peace that he needs to fight it. And hopefully he's back on the ice and doing great.
Yeah, round of applause. Mr. Price, that's a true somebody who should be valued and respected, unlike Ben Simmons, who's faking it, and it makes it like, and I'm serious about that. Like a guy like Carey Price, who recognized he has an issue, immediately went and got help, and isn't playing games with it, and he's doing it to get back with his teammates in games, and we've talked about this with plenty of athletes. Using it as a joke because people are scared to challenge you on it. And that's why people feel like it's safe. They're safe to use it. But you have a guy like Carey Price who really had a real issue. Lane Johnson from the Eagles, same thing. Checked himself into an alcoholic facility because he had a problem battling alcohol, taking drugs to heal up from pain. Like those are real issues that I really sympathize with and I respect. And you have guys taking it as a joke or using it as an easy way out, and it's really frustrating. And it makes me appreciate guys like Carey Price and Lane Johnson for taking those steps and doing what they need to do to take care of themselves. Bert, my game ball is going to go to Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He helped renovate the homeless shelter he stayed at while he was growing up. Their stories, they just talked about it on Sunday night. When he went to college, he would sleep on the floor of his dorm because he just grew up in these homeless shelters. And everybody knows that he was homeless growing up, him and his mom, and everybody knows his story. But, he did his draft from the homeless shelter when he got drafted. He didn't go to where I think it was in Nashville or Tennessee or wherever it was. He didn't go. He went, he did it. He did his draft party from the homeless shelter. And so he just gave them new appliances, computers, a grill, a rock wall playground, landscaping, paved the parking lot, fresh paint job, everything. It's like, this is the example NFL players and all athletes, any athlete, should be leaving, doing something for his community that's worth a damn and that helps other people. And so shout out to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's such a great story, and going back and using his success to help out, something that was there for him when he needed it too. So, you absolutely love to see stuff like that. So awesome game ball. breaking sports bucket of doom news. Corey wants to throw back
the Jets. He's scared. He's scared,
terrified,
man. I feel you.
yeah.
I feel you. Now,
there it is.
If I was a schemer, and it's probably going to happen now that I'm openly talking about it, but if he pulls the Jets again, I would laugh. And I'm not, look, my hands are empty. I'm not holding on to the helmet. I'm mixing it really well because I don't want anybody to think I'm cheating. But if he pulls the Jets helmet again, that would be amazing. All right. And I'm reaching in the bottom now. All right. Here we go, Corey. You have in this bucket of doom the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh, Birds and Broncos.
Ooh. So you can't even sleep on the Broncos, man. They just put it to the to the Dallas Cowboys. Bert, before we get out of here, just want to plug Fast Break Coffee real quick. I got all these bags. I have my substitute teacher on the way. Just ordered that. And so we have the Midnight Oil, really good, dark roast. First Dew, the Bourbon Pecan, fire.
First Dew is getting insane reviews.
Yeah.
Like absolutely insane.
And the warm up, which is also now available in K Cup. That is our breakfast blend. This one also is really good. All of them are good, but and they're all for different types of people. So whatever your blend is, go on fastbreakcoffee.com. You'll get free shipping US. And if you live outside of the US, shout out to you, and we will figure out a way to get you a bag. But Bert, that does it for me. Anything else that we need to talk about?
No, happy to be back. Great show. Looking forward to being back again next week. I have nothing planned until the end of the year, so let's go.
Let's go. All right, guys. We are presented as always by the Give Us a Shot Network, www.giveusashot.network, youtube.com/Give Us a Shot Network, at Stuff About Sports on Instagram. Until then, take care of each other, and we will see you next week.